Welcome to the deep dive.
Great to be here.
Today, we're getting into something that might seem a bit hidden away, behind the walls.
Literally behind the walls sometimes.
Exactly, but it's so fundamental to our future. We're talking about the global insulation products market. And our plan today is really to dig into the key insights from this report by Cognitive Market Research, the Global Insulation Products Market Pulse, 2021-2033.
Right. It's a pretty comprehensive look.
It is. We want to give you that shortcut, really, to understanding the money side, the revenue, the growth trends in what's clearly a booming industry.
And it's not just about construction materials in the old sense.
No, not at all. It connects so strongly to these huge global themes we're all talking about: energy efficiency, climate resilience, and green building solutions. Massively important.
Absolutely critical.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Let's start with the really big picture, the global numbers.
Okay.
So back in 2021, global sales revenue for insulation products.
Yeah.
It was just over $60 million. $60.184 million to be exact. But here's where it gets interesting. By 2025, the forecast jumps to $78.7 million.
A pretty quick rise.
Yeah. And then looking further out to 2033, we're talking $134.576 million.
Wow. So more than double the 2021 figure.
More than double. That works out to a compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, of 6.936%. Pretty healthy.
Yeah, that's a strong, steady growth rate globally. And what's truly striking about these figures, I think, isn't just the growth itself, but what it means. It confirms insulation isn't just, stuff you put in walls anymore. It's becoming absolutely foundational for essential, sustainable infrastructure all around the world.
So it's not just bigger buildings, it's smarter buildings, more efficient.
Exactly. Dramatically more efficient, more resilient. And these numbers, well, they show a clear global commitment, a real shift towards that.
Okay, that makes sense. And I guess when we dive into the regions, that's where you see how this plays out differently.
Definitely. Different strategies, different growth rates.
All right, here's where it gets really interesting. Let's dive into the regions, starting with the one showing the highest growth momentum.
Let me guess. Asia Pacific.
You got it. APAC. It's the real growth engine here. We're looking at $25.277 million back in 2021.
Okay.
Projected to soar, really soar, to $60.155 million by 2033.
Wow. That's almost tripling.
Almost tripling, with a powerful CGR of 7.502%.
Okay, so significantly higher than the global average.
Yeah, and digging into APAC, China's obviously a huge player. They started at $6.749 million in 2021.
Right.
And they're projected to hit $16.452 million by 2033. That's a 7.726% CGR. Quite a bit of that driven by their big push on prefabricated building components, right? Things insulated off-site.
Yeah, that seems to be accelerating adoption there. It's a very strategic top-down approach in many ways.
But then you look at India, the report calls its growth notable, which almost feels like an understatement.
Oh, what are the numbers there?
India goes from $3.893 million in 2021.
Yeah.
Projected to hit $10.106 million by 2033.
Okay, still a big jump.
Yeah. But the VKGR is really impressive. 8.288%. Even higher than China's.
Whoa, okay. 8.288%. That is notable.
Right. And then you've got Japan growing from $3.6 million to nearly $8 million, and South Korea from $2.4 million to over $5.3 million. So significant contributions across the board in APAC.
It's fascinating, isn't it? If we connect this back to that bigger picture, the scale and just the rate of growth in Asia Pacific, it really underscores this global shift. And India's particularly high CAGR, well, it suggests maybe a huge market that was underserved is now rapidly catching up, fueled by urbanization, new building codes kicking in.
Like the Energy Conservation Building Code.
Exactly, for commercial buildings. It's probably a very different dynamic driving things there compared to China's more strategic approach.
That's a great point about the different drivers. So from those really high growth areas, how does Europe compare? It's a more established market, right?
Yeah, mature market dynamics are usually a bit different.
Okay, so Europe. Their total market was $14.324 million in 2021.
Yeah.
Expected to more than double, hitting $30.414 million by 2033. So still strong growth. The CAGR there is 6.529%.
Solid? Solid, yeah, still above 6.5%.
Germany leads the pack in Europe. They're projected to go from about $3 million to nearly $7 million. That's a 7.193% TAGR for Germany.
Interesting. So Germany is actually growing faster than the European average?
Yes, slightly.
Yeah.
Then you have the UK, $2.2 million to almost $5 million, around 6.8% growth. And then France, Italy, Spain, all significant contributors too.
So this kind of raises an interesting question, doesn't it? How do things like different regulations or maybe the amount of existing buildings affect how the market grows in Europe compared to that rapid expansion we just talked about in Asia?
Good question. What do you think?
Well, Europe's growth, while it's robust, it's probably not driven as much by brand new construction on the same massive scale as parts of APAC.
Right.
Here, I suspect a big part of the story is these ambitious renovation waves, improving the existing building stock to meet pretty strict EU energy efficiency targets.
Wow. Okay. So
Yeah.
retrofitting plays a bigger role, maybe?
I think so. It really shows how insulation demand keeps going, even in mature markets. It just shifts focus sometimes.
That makes sense. It's that mix, isn't it? New
Yeah.
builds and ambitious retrofits, making the whole market so dynamic globally.
Exactly.
Okay, let's hop across the Atlantic. North America, how does it stack up?
Steady Eddie?
Pretty much. Steady growth. Bit slower, maybe, than Europe's pace overall. Their market was $11.615 million in 2021.
Okay.
Projected to reach $23.416 million by 2033. The CAGR there is 6.013%.
So just touching 6%.
Yeah. And the U.S. really dominates the region, $9.467 million up to $18.834 million. That's about 5.9% growth for the U.S. specifically.
Right.
Canada's growing too, $1.3 million to $2.8 million. And Mexico's actually got a slightly higher PGR than the U.S. or Canada, around 6.2%, from $0.86 million to $1.77 million.
Interesting about Mexico. The North American market often reflects a real mix of drivers.
How so?
Well, you get pushes for better insulation in new houses, especially where it's cold, right?
Sure.
But you also see this growing focus on energy retrofits for commercial buildings. Companies trying to cut operating costs, meet green building standards like LED.
Right, those standards are becoming more common.
Yeah. So it's a market that responds to, well, consumer awareness, but also those economic incentives. It's not just one thing.
Okay, so we've covered the big players, APAC, Europe, North America.
Yep.
What about other parts of the world? What does this all mean for them?
Yeah, the emerging markets, so to speak.
Right, and it's fascinating. You see these unique growth stories popping up. Incredible potential there, too.
Definitely.
Take South America. The market there was $3.611 million in 2021.
Okay.
Set to rise to $8.373 million by 2033. That's a strong CAGR, actually, 7.245%.
Oh, higher than North America or Europe overall?
Yeah. And get this, Argentina is actually leading the region in terms of growth rate, a 7.852% CAGR.
Wow, Argentina. Okay.
Growing from about $500,000 to $1.4 million. Brazil's the bigger market in value, obviously. One other 37 mentioned to $3.13, but Argentina's growth rate is higher.
Interesting regional dynamics there.
Then the Middle East, similar momentum, really. Valued at $3.13 million in 21, expected to hit $7.155 million by 2033. That's a 7.118% CAGR.
Again, strong growth.
And here, the UAE really stands out, a high 7.818% CAGR. You'd have to figure that's tied to some of their ambitious new city projects, big infrastructure builds.
Yeah, that makes sense. Lots of high-profile construction there.
Oh, sure. And Saudi Arabia and Turkey are also key contributors in the Middle East.
Okay.
And finally, Africa. The market there reached $2.227 million in 2021.
Right.
Projected to hit $5.061 million by 2033. That's a 6.538% CAGR, so pretty much on par with Europe's overall growth rate.
Okay, steady growth there too.
Yeah. South Africa and Nigeria are mentioned as the biggest players in that region.
What's really fascinating across all these, let's call them emerging markets, is the distinct patterns. Their growth seems often tied to specific things happening locally. Big national infrastructure projects, maybe, rapid urbanization in certain cities,
Right.
and just a rising awareness, maybe, of energy efficiency as these economies grow and develop. And it's not just about, the standard pink fiberglass rolls for your attic. No, this includes everything. High performance, rigid boards, spray foams, all kinds of specialized solutions that are crucial for different things, whether it's modern high rises or, say, climate controlled industrial facilities. It's getting quite sophisticated.
Okay, so to try and wrap this all up for you listening,
Yeah.
what this deep dive really shows is just incredibly robust global growth for insulation products.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's clearly not some niche industry anymore. It's essential. Absolutely essential for hitting energy efficiency goals, for developing real green building solutions all over the world.
Couldn't agree more.
And we're seeing the big economies, the US, China, Germany, leading in value, but also these really high growth areas like India, Argentina, the UAE. They're all shaping this market. It's evolving fast.
It really reinforces that overall message, doesn't it? That insulation is becoming just an absolutely essential piece of the puzzle for sustainable infrastructure globally.
Its impact on saving resources long term, hitting environmental goals, it's undeniable. It's really shifting from being seen as just a cost to being seen as a critical investment, an investment in efficiency and in resilience too.
Yeah, resilience is a big part of it now. So maybe a final thought for you to consider, given these really significant growth trends and how deeply tied this market is to sustainable infrastructure. Think about how insulation products might really fundamentally change our cities, our homes, our living spaces in the next 10 years or so.
Yeah.
It's not just about saving a bit on the heating bill, right? It's about creating environments that are more resilient, more adaptable, definitely more comfortable, especially as climates change and energy demands keep going up.
A really crucial element for the future.
Definitely something to think about. And just a reminder, all these powerful insights we discussed came straight from the Global Insulation Products Market Pulse 2021-2033 report by Cognitive Market Research. Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're jumping into a sector that, well, it might just be the unsung hero of our modern world. We're talking about the global insulation products market.
That's right.
Our mission for you, like always, is to cut through all the noise, pull out the really important bits of knowledge from our sources, give you a shortcut to being genuinely well-informed on this vital industry.
It's critical, but often flies under the radar.
Exactly. And when you really stop and think about energy efficiency or the big global push for sustainability, even the future of infrastructure and transport, insulation isn't just important, it's foundational.
It really is. And what's often missed about sectors like insulation is just how deeply they're woven into these much bigger global movements. Understanding this market isn't just about foam and fiberglass.
Right.
It's about connecting the dots.
Yeah.
Seeing that bigger picture of sustainable development, of innovation. You'll probably be quite surprised by some of the connections, the subtle ones, that we're going to uncover from the sources today.
Okay, let's unpack this then. What's really, truly propelling growth in this market? Because our sources, they point to some incredibly powerful forces at play here.
Well, right at the top, number one, is the huge increase in using insulation materials in construction globally.
Yeah.
There's just this massive surge in demand for buildings that are genuinely energy efficient.
Okay.
We're seeing governments, developers, everyone really pushing hard for what's being called low-energy housing. And sustainable commercial buildings, too.
So it's becoming standard practice.
Pretty much. This whole push is making advanced insulation, is making it a non-negotiable part of modern design. It's not just an afterthought anymore.
And it's not just about new buildings either, is it? I mean, our sources show demand rising from the existing construction sector, too, and electrical.
That's right. Both existing buildings getting retrofits and the electrical industry, particularly in homes and industrial settings.
Right.
And there, insulation isn't just about saving on heating bills. It's crucial for safety, too. Think about preventing heat loss in pipes or making sure electrical parts work efficiently. Don't overheat.
But here's where, for me anyway, it gets really interesting. Maybe less obvious. The automotive industry.
Precisely, yes.
Yeah.
The big shift towards electric and hybrid vehicles, it's not just changing what powers the car. It's fundamentally changing the car's internal structure.
How so?
Well, the need for high-performance insulation in these cars is just skyrocketing.
Skyrocketing. Why?
Well, two main things. One, reducing noise. EVs are quieter, so other noises become more apparent. Good insulation means a much quieter, more premium ride.
Okay, makes sense.
But critically, number two, it's about thermal control, especially for the battery systems and all the complex electronics.
Yeah.
Keeping them at the right temperature is vital for performance and longevity.
I see. So insulation becomes almost a performance feature itself.
Exactly. It's not just stuffing something in the door panel anymore. It's enabling the whole EV revolution. It's this sort of quiet revolution happening inside the car.
Wow. Okay, that's a really powerful set of tailwinds driving things forward. But as we always find, no market grows without hitting some bumps. What are the big obstacles? What's trying to slow this down?
That's a very good question, because there definitely are hurdles. One really significant one that comes up in our sources is the volatility in raw material prices.
Costs, always a factor.
Always. And this isn't just, a minor supply chain headache. It really tests how agile the whole industry can be. When the cost of key inputs jumps around, it directly hits production costs.
Which means the price for the end user could go up.
Potentially, yes. And that could make high-performance insulation less accessible, maybe slow down mass adoption, especially in more price-sensitive segments.
Okay, so cost volatility is one. What else?
And then there's the ever-tightening environmental regulations globally.
You mean governments setting stricter standards for materials, for emissions, that kind of thing?
Exactly that. As governments push harder on sustainability goals, manufacturers are forced to constantly upgrade. New materials, cleaner processes.
Which sounds good, but I guess it costs money and takes time.
It can, yes. It raises this really important strategic question for the entire industry. How do you balance that constant push for innovation, for better, greener products, with these mounting regulatory pressures, especially when making those changes can be expensive and, frankly, quite complex?
Yeah.
It forces them to rethink everything, really, from where they source materials to how they actually manufacture the products.
Okay, so we have these strong drivers, these real challenges. What does this mix mean for the future? Where are things headed? What are the key trends shaping this market going forward? It feels like sustainability is just everywhere.
Absolutely. That's probably the dominant theme. There's this growing, you might even say undeniable, preference for eco-friendly and sustainable insulation materials.
Right.
Our sources show a really significant rise in products made from things like recycled cotton, hemp, even cellulose.
So not the traditional stuff necessarily.
Not always, no.
Well,
These aren't just niche eco-products anymore. They're gaining serious traction because builders, developers, and homeowners are all increasingly focused on reducing their carbon footprint and demanding healthier spaces to live and work in.
And that connects directly to like personal health too, doesn't it? I've definitely noticed people talking more about non-toxic building materials.
You're spot on. Consumer preferences are shifting strongly towards health-conscious, non-toxic solutions. You see this very clearly in the green building movement and in smart homes. And this trend is getting amplified, really pushed along by major building certifications. Things like LEED or BREEAM over in Europe.
Ah, the rating systems.
Exactly. These are basically robust frameworks that check and reward projects for using environmentally sound practices and materials, including things like recyclable and bio-based insulation. So there's a real incentive now.
And beyond just greener materials, what about the tech side? Any big innovations happening?
Oh, definitely. The market is also seeing a real wave of technological innovation in insulation itself. We're moving beyond just passive barriers that just sit there.
How do you mean? Like smart insulation?
Precisely that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Imagine insulation that can actually adjust its properties based on the environmental conditions. Or think about nanomaterials offering incredible insulation performance, but in much thinner, lighter layers.
Wow.
These kinds of innovations are making products not just more effective at doing the job of insulating, but also inherently more sustainable. You use less material, get better performance. It's a win-win.
So if we kind of connect all these dots, the drivers, the challenges, these future trends, it really feels like it's changing the whole idea of what a building is or even what a vehicle is.
It really is.
And it highlights how our own individual choices, wanting sustainable products, worrying about health, how that actually ripples out and influences these massive global industries right down to the materials they use.
It absolutely does. This whole deep dive really shows us how these seemingly small, almost invisible components like insulation are actually critical pieces in this giant puzzle of global energy transformation and sustainable living.
Yeah.
It really makes you think, doesn't it, about how many unseen innovations are all around us contributing to our modern world. How much progress is actually hidden in the details and the materials themselves.
It truly does. So the core takeaway here, I think, is pretty clear. The global insulation products market is way, way more than just stopping heat or cold.
Much more.
It's a key, you could say indispensable component in this huge global shift towards smarter, safer, and greener ways of living and moving around.
An essential player, definitely. Even if it's often unseen.
It really is shaping our sustainable future. It makes you rethink what progress even looks like. Sometimes it's hidden right inside the walls or under the hood. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
My pleasure.
We really hope you'll keep exploring these unseen forces that shape our world because, understanding these underlying currents, that's really key to staying ahead of the curve.